This is the last of a series of talks sponsored by the Save the Dunes and Beaches Foundation. There was one in June, in which I thought there was a lot of good information given. My takeaway on that, we had two experts, Jay Kansky from Sea Grant, who's local and familiar with the beaches here, and also David Basco from Old Dominion University. And as I said, my takeaways from what they said is that that beach nourishment works. It works best when you have a relatively low rate of erosion on your beach, which is what we have according to them. And there needs to be a supply of sand that's accessible, and we have a lot of sand right off Long Island.
It is. A little history. Personally, I grew up in Miami Beach, and I saw the first beach nourishment efforts in the late 70s. So now I've owned a home here in Quogue for about 31 years, and this dialogue began for me 20 years ago. Began 20 years ago with Aaron, when there was a terrible washover and we almost lost our homes. And on a more formal basis, the Save the Dunes and Beaches Foundation was formed in 2006. I don't know how many of you have driven down to the East End Dune Road this week, but there was yet another washover. No dunes, ocean right into the bay, which, you know, compromises the ecosystem of great concern. They had to bring in some payloaders to take the sand off the road. It was a little scary. A few of us began by jump-starting the process of the $100,000 contributed by some of your neighbors that are seated in this room. And it's a long, dense process. It's mired in bureaucracy. It has stringent benchmarks that must be met, especially at the scientific level, the environmental level, and the science supports beach nourishment. A map here, if you take a look at it on your way out from Coney Island to the west, all the way to Montauk, wherever you see a star, that's where there's been a nourishment program. You know, we have to find consensus, difficult conversation. We are ready, willing, and able to meet anybody, anytime, anywhere, no matter how difficult the conversation is. And even though we have differences, I know that we can find consensus. I really believe in this very special village of Quogue.
To the rating agencies, and the village would have to apply for a rating on the bond. Now the village has sold bonds since 2004. It's been 10 years, and there's approximately $2.3 million in debt outstanding right now, maturing in 2019. So within the next 5 years. So in the grand scheme of things, it's they have a extremely low debt profile as it stands right now, and it currently pays about $450,000 a year for debt service, and again, ending in 2019. So one of the things that that comes up, and it often comes up, and I always find it kind of interesting, and is that everyone wants to know, oh, what are the rating agencies going to think, or what is the market going to think that we're borrowing X amount of dollars? And the short answer is, absolutely nothing. I mean, this is not. This size bond issue, albeit big, and it's a lot of money, to everyone. It's not. It's actually going to be, It's going to be marketed, it's going to be scooped right up by the investors. It really will.
One of the things we want to do is look at what does the village look like? We showed you that map. Well, what is that map? What are the numbers that come off of that flood map? Well, the total assessed value is just over $3.1 billion. And that's broken up into about 1,770 parcels. Okay? On Dune Road on the ocean front, you have almost $500 million in 116 parcels. And on the bay side, you have about 283 or 284 million in just under 100 parcels. So you have a combined total on Dune Road of about $769 million. out of the $3 billion of assessed value. The day that the ocean breached the West Hampton Dunes, the Army Corps of Engineers sent us a letter and said, we are monitoring the situation closely and there is no danger of a breach. So I have a very high level of confidence in my opinion because I spent a long time developing it. I respect that people don't agree with me, and I respect the conversation that should take place. But what I'm trying to explain to you is that when you look at that dune and it looks big, it isn't. It's not that big. The village of Quogue is at risk, and it's not just the people on Dune Road. There are $2 billion in real estate. Out of the $3 billion in the village, $2 billion is in the floodplain on the mainland. And that's in the floodplain without a breach of the
Better
boundary.
onto the beach in case of a major storm.
But I think you raised a really good point. First of all, I would only say that dredging sand on the beach is actually incredibly conservative. This is the most conservative point of view you can take. Because A, you're not hurting anything. The environmental requirements on this, and the studies that have been done, that this is one of the most benign things you can do, is to put sand on the beach. So the only thing you're putting at risk is money. So I would just look at that a little bit differently. But your money's already at risk. Your $2 billion of assessed value, which is insured by a lot of it by FEMA, which is us, is at risk right now. And the risk is growing every day. You're not seeing it because you don't do the kind of stuff that we do to look. But I'm telling you, that risk is increasing every day.